we emphasize the importance of the kingdom. Okay, and here I'm looking at this as the big picture. So in a sense, whatever we do or whatever you do, if there is an awareness of the big picture, then what you do or what we do can be placed in the appropriate context because we are mindful of the big picture. So when we talk about finding our place, then we're almost invariably instigating uh, or touching on a notion that says that your place is not the only place. My place is not the only place. We are actually talking about something that is bigger than the place you and I occupy. And in this case, as kingdom leaders who are growing in our places in our various assignments in life, uh, the key submission is that your place is a strategic location in the whole of the kingdom of God. So, and as you saw that picture just a moment ago, that piece that has fallen out of place has essentially created um, a hole in the whole piece. So that means vermins can get in, rodents can get in, um, you can have moisture creeping in to soil the whole thing. So you can see how important just a piece is in the whole scheme of things. Now, when we talk about the big picture, we're essentially referring to the kingdom of God, or in a sense, the king and his country. So we're saying what we are doing for the king and for country. And because no individual is bigger than a team, no individual is bigger than a country, no no piece is ever bigger than the whole puzzle, even though it's very important, then we must always make a priority the entire welfare, the entire uh, well-being of the whole piece, the whole puzzle, rather than just the piece. But because we know that the pieces make up the whole puzzle, then we are saying we want each piece to be in health so that the whole puzzle, the full picture can be seen. So we are essentially referring to the priority of the kingdom because that's why we do all that we do. That's why, uh, in fact, all of our efforts come together in the context of the kingdom as kingdom leaders. So the other part of that is if I'm part of a community, then it behoves on me, it's my responsibility to ensure that the community is looked after as a responsible member of that community. So, in the context of the kingdom, right, and the individuals in it, we are actually talking about responsible citizenship. Responsible citizenship. So, it's kingdom first and responsible citizenship. How do citizens exercise their responsibility? The first and primary way is in keeping the law that binds the whole community. That's the first requirement. As a matter of fact, once you get into the country, the first thing that is required of any citizen is to be law abiding. So you're saying the country is important and I relate to the country appropriately and to the government of that country in keeping its laws. But we know that that's just the foundation. As a matter of fact, that foundation is what enables everything else. Now, given that I'm prioritizing the glory of the country, the well-being of the country, of my community, and my responsible um, behaviors or my responsible participation in the country, which is actually what we call righteousness, isn't it? That's what we call being right, being correctly aligned within the context of the whole country. Given that that is in place, the next thing you want to really ask of a citizen is whether or not that citizen is a contributory member of society. In other words, there is no country in the world that seeks to have unproductive citizens, people that you might otherwise call a drain on the system. There is no country that looks forward to that for very tangible reasons. For of course, for the economy, it depends on that. If the citizens are not contributory, if they're not productive in the economy, obviously the economy suffers. And by and large, many other things that require the economy suffer. So we are actually expecting, it's an expectation, sometimes clearly written, sometimes unwritten, that we expect citizens to be productive, to be responsible for their domains and in their domains. Now, if I widen that thought, what we're saying essentially is that as far as a domain is concerned, citizens, inhabitants, residents are responsible for keeping it in order. So I'm referring to two essential things, which is the commitment to preserve the environment. When I say environment, that's not just physical environment, that's environment in many respects, environment, physical, the economic, and all of that. So I'm alluding to um, the responsible or to the correct response of the citizen as far as the environment, the country, the nation, the city, and all of that is concerned. Now, in the context of the kingdom of God, there are two things that I want to drop in very quickly as thoughts to consider. Now, and I cannot probably sum those two in one to say that the citizen is essentially in the kingdom context, is let me use this word, the light of the system. When I say light, what we're saying is the citizen injects the knowledge, the law, or well, the citizen takes hold of the law with which the systems in the environment are governed. And it's also the citizen's responsibility to use that word, to look after the earth as we have it. When I say the earth, your piece of the earth, or my piece of the earth. Now, I'm just laying foundations, and I'm just trying to bring them together. So essentially, I'm alluding to the fact that everyone in God's kingdom essentially must have a commitment to personal growth, because personal growth is actually the continual pursuit of the development, essentially, as it affects the total man, spiritual, mental, physical, social, economic, and all of that. Personal growth, as it's fully embodied, in order to become the influence that has an impact on the world and acts as a preserving agent for the earth. Right. These are very broad statements. These are very broad indeed. And my responsibility tonight is to bring this together in order to actually highlight or put a satellite on what I call your place and my place in the kingdom. The reason why this is important is because finding your place, uh, to my mind, it has a whole lot of connotations. You would observe that most of the time in our various countries, if you buy a piece of land, one of the things that you do is you affix a signpost to say, this land belongs to so and so, and then trespassers are not welcome. So, in that simplistic terms, you find that the one thing that each one wants to do is to know and mind his or her place. Otherwise, something begins to happen, which is what we call trespassing, right? Begin to trespass. But I say that to even talk about being responsible for your domain, we must, as a priority, understand what our unique contribution must be in that environment. What is my unique contribution? What am I supposed to add to this community? Put it very simply, what am I supposed to add to my world? I had a statement from my mentor that if you left the world better than you met it, then you shouldn't have been born. You wasted time and opportunity. So this line of thought is essentially taking the attention away from ourselves to our responsibility in the world. Now, in saying this takes attention away from self-focus, I'm referring to this in the context of our contribution. However, however, that effective contribution is something that rides on personal growth. So as I continue to grow, as I become more, increase my capabilities, my capacity, then I can begin to contribute more effectively in my environment. So a contribution or a contributory mentality is essential to an individual that has anything to do in the kingdom. In other words, if you or myself don't have anything to offer, then well, we can't really tell what use that I mean that person has in the environment. Now, I almost can't avoid, referring to, if you like, my constitution, right? Which is when I say constitution, I'm almost assuming that everyone has the same kind of understanding that we do when we talk about kingdom. Essentially, we're talking about the kingdom of God, right? Which in our mind has nothing to do with religion. It has everything to do with kingdom, with king and country. That's all it is, right? And it also has everything to do with citizenship. That's why we talk about, I use that word citizenship. Because if you have a country and you have members who are registered in that country, then you call them citizens. You may call them residents, which they're not necessarily citizens, but we're talking about people who are sure that they have their citizenship in the kingdom. So, and we're saying that for a citizen, apart from keeping the law, the next thing a citizen must be thinking about is developing his or her capacity, and then contribution to the environment. Incidentally, when we talk about the kingdom of God, we're not just we know that we're not thinking in esoteric terms where our feet don't touch the ground. No, we know we have citizenship of God's country, but we are deployed on the domain of the earth as we have it, planet Earth, right? So, so we're looking at our effective contribution in the world on Earth, and I say that there's also a thought or a mindset that a citizen has that my job is to positively influence my domain, to positively influence my domain. Now, all of this come together into something that I I think is the most important thing when it comes to finding and occupying our place. Number one, we want to talk about understanding really what is my place. How do I identify my place? We want to talk about what am I supposed to do in my place? Uh, how can I influence or bear a positive influence in my place? And I want to tie this together to say that when it comes to being a positive influence in our domain really starts from where we are currently, how our current engagement with the systems of the world, and where we aspire to go to. So it starts from right where we are to where we see ourselves going. So of course, we're talking about intentionality or our purpose. What really is my place? What am I to do? Now, when it comes to your place, there's a story that comes to mind. It's a story of two brothers. I think I told that story recently. Story of two brothers, and in their minds, they thought, well, when it comes to, I can always just pick up any place that I like. I can once I really like a particular place, I can just go for it. Well, my question would be, should you just go for it, or should you not just go for it? Is there anything wrong in just going for a particular place that you like? It might be that we see people of influence, people of means by the world standard, and we say we like that and we want to become something of that. Now, my question is, should we just go for that, or is there something else to it? Now, these two brothers, what they did was to ask. They tried to be smart. So what they did was to ask their relative, their mom in this case, to talk to uh, the greatest master teacher, and they said, "Look, we would like to participate in your government. And as a matter of fact, we would like to become, first, maybe first vice president and second vice president, or maybe I want to become the general manager and then the chief of operations." So in other words, they had lofty aspirations. They wanted to really, go for it. And incidentally, in that discourse, Jesus never really did scold them, as it were. He didn't say, no, you shouldn't have any aspirations. All he said was this: look, in the first instance, there is a price to pay for every, for everything that you desire. And number two, which is most important, you're saying the places or the positions of authority that you desire, these are not just a place to give people. You don't get given. These actually are prepared places. And I think the word prepare is the key word there. You're saying, look, prepared places talks about the fact that there is, it's almost a sense of um, predetermination, if I can use that word. It's almost in the sense of predetermination that you don't get given places. You, as it were, discover the place where you fit into. And that notion is a bit different, probably even strange in our contemporary culture. That you don't just aspire to a position or try to take hold of a place. No, you actually discover what your place should be. And that thought sometimes might be a bit troubling, which is there a suggestion that I shouldn't aspire to some greatness, or I shouldn't aim high? No, that's not the suggestion. What you're saying is that your place and my place are predetermined positions. They are presets. And I look at that in the context of a puzzle. So oftentimes when we play puzzles, what we see is that each piece has a unique design. Each piece has a unique pattern to it. Each piece even has unique um, attributes, design. You know, there's something unique about each piece. And my suggestion is that it is that uniqueness, it is that design that essentially determines where that piece should fit in. So a piece of a puzzle cannot cannot aspire to another place where it wouldn't fit. So it's a question of fit. It's a question of design. It's a question of, if you like, predetermination. Somebody made a statement some time ago. He said, if everything is predeterministic, then there's no need for debate. And I say yes, that in some sense, there's almost no need for debate, because if your position is a preset location, then my greatest aspiration, now in this case, I can begin to aspire, and my greatest aspiration is to actually find my place. My greatest aspiration is to, do all that I can or all I should to find my place. So we're talking about prepared places. We're talking about preset locations. Preset locations. Now, and the question would be, what is it that actually determines my place? What really is my place? So maybe to just conclude that story, I bet that they were a bit disappointed, because they saw in the end that they weren't going to get given places. They were to be there if the places were meant for them. In other words, a piece of a puzzle should only find its place to its own particular position on the puzzle. If you look at our Facebook page, you will see that logo, and that is very instructive. We're essentially saying what we really desire above all else is for each one to find its place in the kingdom of God. Because once you do, then certain things will begin to happen. We're going to get into those. So, the most important thing that really determines your position and your place is your gift. That's why I say that it is the design of the piece of the puzzle that determines exactly where it gets into. It's the the nature, the design, the attributes of that piece that determines where it gets to in the puzzle. Can I submit that you never truly find a place until you discover your gift? Your gift is the sat nav of your place in God's kingdom. Why is this so? Now let's also be clear. When I'm talking about gift, I'm not only talking about the fact that I'm not talking about gift in the sense that we look at it, in the sense in which we consider gift in a contemporary, in an everyday world. I'm not. It's not something I'm using loosely. A gift actually talks about um, your design. It talks about the the coming together of your design, spiritual, physical, mental. It also talks about your passion, the intangible part of ourselves that define the totality of the individual. So it's beyond just the fact that I know how to run or I'm artistic. It goes a bit beyond that. And that's why the true power lies in your gift and my gift. Now, I was asking a question: how do you know your gift? How do I know it? If that is the key to finding my place, then I think naturally we want to know how to actually discover a gift. And in my mind, I think that answer is always talking to us all the time, every time. If it was meant to be so difficult, then we will have been dealt uh, a bad card. It would have been a bit unfair on all of us if it's just so difficult to find. And I have some suggestions. I would say, you see, a gift to the person is something that is natural to the person. So it is what you are by nature. I'm not talking about when someone is just argumentative, or I'm not talking about bad behaviors here. I'm not talking about bad trait and habit. No, I'm talking about what we are by nature, by design, uh, capacity as defined by God and by our nature. What you begin to see that what we do outside of our gift is unnatural. And there's a word we use for it. We say that there's a struggle there. We say the individual is struggling. Why? The individual is acting outside of his or her gift. It is impossible, in my mind, to become a true expert outside of the domain of your gift. So keep that picture of the puzzle in your mind. Just keep that picture in your mind, and let's have it talk to us. Let's have that. Let's have the commonplace puzzle really talk to us today. And it's talking to us in the context of the kingdom of God. That there's always a big picture, and each individual is more or less a piece. If each individual is more or less a piece, and we know that each piece has its own place, then if you look a bit further, we can see the design on each piece. Now, oftentimes people around us may not really realize your true meaning, your true significance. And that's because, number one, they too are just a part of it, the whole thing. They too need to actually discover themselves. So their first assignment is not to define you, but to first define themselves. So, and they may totally be unaware or ignorant of the full picture of that complete thing. The completeness of all of this for me is the kingdom of God. That's the big picture. And it's looking at how each of us fit in there. There are a lot of suggestions to my mind. For example, if somehow we are 10 in a room and each person just knows exactly what his gift is, what is our whole contribution really is, then we we can almost begin to cooperate rather than compete with ourselves. Why? I can see that this person has a design that is not on my own plate, and I need that design to complement and complete me rather than to compete with me. So competition is actually proof that you don't know your design. Number one, you don't even have any clue about the big picture, and hence you want to fight the other person. As a matter of fact, just imagine for a second that each piece, every piece or a particular piece on the puzzle is trying to get into the position that belongs to another one. Number one, it's not going to fit, but most regrettably, it's going to prevent the other one that belongs there to actually settle in its place. And there's one word for that. We call it trespassing, right? So it is not a matter of choice, or it is not optional, let me use that word, to actually find and discover your gift. It is not, because lack of knowledge of your gift is actually a barrier to other people in many ways that we can imagine. Well, if by not knowing mine and therefore not knowing my place, I begin to debar other people, so I shift one out of its place, I'm out of my place, and when nature abhors vacuum and something else is filling my place, you can just imagine the continuous chaos that's created just because there is either ignorance or lack of interest in really discovering this. So it is not optional. It is something that I believe must be done. I think it has to be done, not just for your sake, but for all of our welfare. So the question would be, if I begin to know my gift, begin to really find, right, I now understand what my unique contribution is, which is determined by my design, which is my purpose. Okay, then what do I do with my gift? Well, I have a few suggestions. Number one, our priority job as it concerns Agate is to put value on that gate by continuous improvement. We must, as a necessity, begin to train our gate or educate our gate, uh, and thereby adding value to that gate so that that gate can become productive. And in being productive, also become profitable. This is essential. I think I should zoom in on just an instance, maybe a case study, just to make this a bit more practical. Now, there are some people, when it comes to, say, sharing concept, ideas, they're not struggling about that. It just seems to come natural to them. And again, they found out that somehow they tend to understand things that are taught in school. I'm talking about this, let's say a student, for instance, and they understand it, and they discover that 5, 10 of their colleagues or schoolmates are struggling in that area. Now, don't forget, your gift is always relevant to a place, right where you are at the time. I think now you begin to see a pattern here. The environment is calling on that gift to respond to the need that exists in that environment. So I believe that it should be the holder of that gift responsibility to respond to that need where he or she is by sharing, helping the other student to understand so that he is actually serving them with what comes natural to him. Of course, this sounds very simple, but I think it's as simple as that. It's as simple as having or being able to respond to the demands, challenges, problems, in fact, that exist in an environment by what you are so uh, enabled to do, just responding to that. And what happens is, as you begin to do that, or as that student begins to do that, it finds that is actually refining the use of that gift, improving it, and who knows where that gift could go to? Who knows how, I mean, the extension of the use of that gift. So, what do you do with your gift? It's actually to, I use the word, occupy your place with that gift. The word occupy, when I was doing my research, it means to take up place or space and time. So essentially, we're using our gift to occupy the space, the domain where we are, the environment where we are, and we are deploying it in the time that we have. So we actually are using our gift with the time that we have in the domain, the space, the environment where we are. End of the earth, that in the, literally in the other part of the earth where it almost can't get to, it is someone who is not responding to his gift correctly is looking to solve a problem that is too far-fetched, too far off that it can't respond to right now. It's only hoping and dreaming that it can do something in the future. So I think it is slightly unwise to want to solve a problem in the future when there are challenges confronting one right here and right now. So what do you do with your gift? Is to occupy. And the degree of occupation with your gift determines your rewards in life. The degree of occupation with my gift determines my rewards in life. So, in occupying with our gift, we begin to profit with our gift. We begin to add value, and that's the keyword there. We begin to create, add, extend, and multiplying value with our gift. So this is not something that is, so far-fetched, so esoteric, something that is grand and all that. It's as simple as that. I've just used just an example, but and think about it. There are many more examples that we can think about. Something that we can actually discover immediately about ourselves. Now, again, remember the story of the two brothers who were looking to take on, they had lofty ambitions. They wanted to hold positions of authority. And the question again would be, what determines whether or not they take that place? I think we've already said that. It's a gift. Simply because it's a man's gift that makes room for him. If we can't find your gift, then there's no room for you. That's the corollary of that. So a man's gift determines access. Access will be denied when there is no use that we can figure out about the person. So ignoring our gift essentially is denying access to environments that we could actually get into. A man's gift makes room for him. If there's no gift, then there's no room for him. I'm just trying to keep this very simple and highlight something that's vital. And I'm highlighting this in the hope that we can actually we can channel our energy and sometimes perhaps prioritize or reprioritize the investment of our time. Now, if gifts are connected to places, to locations, to domains, what do you do in your place? So if I find my place, what do I do? Well, even though the gifts, or granted that the gift grants access to my place, once I begin to get, established or take a bearing in my place, I must continue to serve my gift because my gift has made room for me. I must continue to serve it. I must continue to, of course, refine it. Why? The problem that we solve today may require another another variant, if you like. You may need to solve that problem in a different way next time. So it wouldn't be that I've solved the problem and that problem remains solved forever. No. And that's why continuous refinement is so important. Continuous refinement or refinement of our gift. I continue to develop, enhance, and discover new ways to serve my gift. And I continue to create different versions, multiple versions, a version for the healthcare, a version for financial services, a version for the construction industry, a version for government, because that gift, it's a man's gift that makes room for him. But not just that, a gift, think about it, is like a precious stone in the hand of the holder. Think about what a precious stone looks like. If you hold a piece of diamond in your hand, if light is coming from this angle, then you have the refraction, it glitters. If it comes from this other angle, it glitters. So you can see maybe a brilliant yellow in this direction. In this other direction, you're seeing brilliant orange. So depending on where you're looking from. Now, so a gift has the capacity to refract itself in many ways. As you begin to put light into it, as you begin to refine, rediscover, and research your gift. Not just that, researching the environment where you are. How do they want to have this product? How do they want to have my service? And I begin to what? Adapt. You see, it is in doing this that we can make our most significant contribution. So when we talk about the kingdom of God, sometimes I discuss with my very close family members, and for example, my brother says he wants to help make the kingdom practical so that every individual, layman, can actually use it, can actually can imbibe it and make it really practical. And just with that thought, I'm thinking that when you talk about the kingdom of God, it's not just talking about the heavenlies and the grand the whole grand domain. It actually boils down to the citizen, the individual, and his purpose and his gift. How he makes a difference that can influence, that can create a positive impact in the domain where he is placed. Because as yet, none of us is omnipotent. We're not all everywhere. We're not all, we're not all endowed with everything. We're not also omnipresent. So it must mean that we are maybe we are present somewhere and we are potent in some respect. And it is that potency that must be used where we are present. That's really the key I'm referring to here. In fact, that is really the sum total of all that I'm just sharing with us today. Once in your place, the requirement on our time is to make our effective contribution in that place. And that is true because our value is in deploying our gift in our place. Now, I look at something that you see among shops. People like to come to London and maybe to the UK to shop a lot. So if you go to most of the shops, if you go to I think that's Regent Street, you see that you see ranges, fashion stores side by side, and they're just there. And you wonder, are these guys thinking of competition? Shouldn't they move apart so that once I have a customer with me, he's going to buy everything from me? But somehow these guys figured out that it doesn't work that way. So, and they say if you want Louis Vuitton, well, you come to Louis Vuitton. We do bags in a way that Versace doesn't do it. We do shoes in a way that we do it, and our shoes are unique. And what they do is to refine their gift. They refine the way they present their gift to the market, so that if you want a product like that, you come to them. So they're not thinking of competition. They know that there are diverse tastes there are diverse interests, there are diverse problems in the environment, and they are solving a particular problem the way they see it, the way they are able to, with their gift, with their unique selling point. And that's the key here, which is that we're not really going to focus on competition when we really understand the value of a gift, because that gift is meant to solve a problem in a particular way that only you can. The truth, though, is if Louis Vuitton doesn't show up, then people will go for maybe Versace or go for Tommy Hilfiger or something, because nature abhors vacuum. So people will make do with what they have, but they will think about you once you show up. And that's the irony of it, that sometimes you look at this also uh, in the way our retail environment works. So you see all the eateries, and they all are smart enough to come into the same place. And they know that if you want something that is peppery, you don't go to McDonald's, you go somewhere else. If you want it peppery, you have it right in our own shop. If you want it, the Big Mac size, then you go to McDonald's. It's the wisdom of complementing and completing rather than competing. And I think it takes someone who is unaware and who is insecure in his or her gift to actually compete. It must. I think that sounds logical, but much more so for people if uh, competition actually leads to what I call transgression or trespassing, because then you begin to want to overlap your territory. You see, every piece on the puzzle has a boundary and territory, and they must continue to respect that boundary in order for them to show us the picture, the design on the puzzle. If the boundaries overlap, then a particular aspect of the picture is tampered with. But true that there is the scope, and that's the word. There is the scope of our assignment. There is the significant contribution. But that scope is unlimited. It can be expanded and cover the whole earth in the area of your gift. So within that gift, the scope is unlimited. Outside of that gift, any expanded scope is a transgression. In fact, it's a trespass. You're then you're out of scope. Business people know that, so they will define what is in scope and what is out of scope, because your gift is not there to solve every problem. It's to solve some unique problems. And maybe more importantly, outside of your gift, you do damage to the entire domain. You do damage. You run things over. And that's why the key to finding our place in the kingdom is actually to discover our significant contribution through the of our gift as defined by design. It makes it natural. It makes it a complement. It makes it a significant contribution. Well, that's really the piece for tonight, and I hope it's useful. If I do see some of them, I'll read them out. Otherwise, we'll pick up some of the thoughts and contribution on the Facebook page. But can I just say that we are looking to have a few of us also speak on the platform. That's people within our team. I'm looking forward to hearing from Amy. Amy is a fantastic protege. I'm looking to hear from him. I'm also looking to hear, well, we're looking to host our great partners and mentors and friends of 10. April will be coming along, and I've not told him, I've not told her, but yeah, I think that's almost expected. I'll reach out to all of them. Dr. Pepper will be coming along. I already have his word. And of course, Dr. Martin is going to be around. I'm going to have Trista again, and a great lineup of people. Yemi is going to come as well. And of course, in our team, AY will be sharing shortly, just as we have, Seth, Vuki. I mean, everyone is stepping up in a significant way, just delivering our gift, and that's really what we want to do. Well, thank you for joining us today. I honor you all. I'm grateful to see Pastor Pastor Dari, and all of, in fact, Buki, Shewa, Seth, AY. Thank you all for being there. Well, have a wonderful evening or afternoon if you're joining us from a different time zone. And we look forward to seeing you in February. God bless you. Thank you. Maybe just to quickly share this. If one of our esteemed members and partner, Pastor Dari, is actually hosting an event the first weekend in February. So if you're in Manchester, you can actually reach out to him or to me, and I can give you more details. It's actually a kingdom-focused event as well. So if you want to come along, if you're in Manchester, you're most welcome. Thank you very much. God bless.